Okay, we made it through most of the standard game of Prime Minister so far. For the entirety of the game, Viscount Melbourne has been the Prime Minister. And nothing has changed. No challenges have been undertaken. He managed to get a good deal of points. There was a resignation by his backbencher. Just last turn, the opposition under Disraeli managed to overtake him and make a challenge, and then also win the immediately following election. Even if he lost the election, he would have still maintained his lead. He would have still maintained the government, even with the loss of the election. That's just the way the prime ministry works in this. And it's reflective of the era as far as I know. It brings to mind a pretty interesting question, which is whether or not, as that starting prime minister, whether you want to make it through most of the game as prime minister, doing very well, but dragging other people with you in victory points as long as the pact is in existence, dragging your backbencher with you as long as that's in existence. At this point, Melbourne is in a horrible position. He is going to lose his leadership position. He's going to become a backbencher. He's essentially going to be a new nobody, but keeping the same stats for some reason and name and also supporters and whatnot. But the supporters, you could make an argument for why they would be maintained. That's that. Okay. On the other hand, all the other three players, I feel, have a relatively good shot at the game. I think the advantage probably goes to the prime minister because it's hard to dislodge the prime minister, but everybody's going to be shooting for him. In addition, the opposition, Melbourne here, is in a really, really weird situation. I don't think he has any chance of winning, simply because he doesn't have the standing built up. He has victory points. If he manages, like he's going to be a backbencher, if he manages to reverse Earl Russell and overtake his position in the party, he could actually become prime minister again. But it looks like a really, really difficult route there. There is a little bit of space. I have a little bit of play between us. And there's a fair amount between the current prime minister, who is the one who has to reach 100 points. Other people can reach 100 points and they just sit there. You have to be the prime minister and have 100 points to win the game. Which might actually mean that the game takes forever. It's unlikely, but it could end up in a really kind of pathological situation where a lot of time is spent with that prime minister not really doing a great job, but nobody willing to take him out because whoever replaces him wins the game because they're all clumped at 100 or whatever. I could just see something along those lines. It's not something I'm terribly worried about. There are interesting, weird situations that happen in a lot of games. And this is just right around the edges. There are other things that I'm more disturbed by in this. One of them being, and I would kind of house rule this for the standard scenario, I think Melbourne should go away and you get another random character. Keep the rest of the stuff, but the fact that he's being reset, not yet, but as soon as he becomes a backbencher, he's basically lost his control of his party. There are so few cases where a party leader got supplanted and stuck around. And I don't know, I actually don't know of any. Like in the US, you have kind of something like that with Nancy Pelosi sticking around, but she just kind of stuck around after her election. Like she had already been elected and then effected the transition and wanted to keep her fingers in control of things and help smooth things over. No way she's going to rise back to power. And she didn't lose her position in any way due to this. She lost it due to age, really, and trying to make way, allowing a path for younger leadership. If you're looking at a parliamentary system, I'm sure it's a little different, but once you lose the confidence of your party, how are you going to regain it? I don't think, for example, Churchill stopped being leader of the Conservative Party. He lost a lot of standing in the Conservative Party at various times, but I don't think I think he was in a leadership position, and had kind of then become a pure backbencher, like the backbencher who's resigned, and then ends up surging forward and becoming prime minister. But once he took over as prime minister, I think he remained the party leader until he left, basically, forced out, whatever. It's not a matter of... Now, that's more modern than this, and that's where my problem is I'm not really all that... I'm barely knowledgeable at all about 19th century English parliamentary leaders. I recognize people and I know some of the stuff that they did and they worked for, but I don't really know how they maneuvered around politically in the same sort of way. But it seems very, very unlikely that someone would be ousted from party leadership and then be able to retake it. Possible, maybe in one particular weird case or something. But again, it's not going to happen here. The only thing that I'm saying is I would guess that given that Melbourne, simply by the challenge and the Crown demoting him, this is the other weird thing. He loses all standing, not because he lost an election, not because his policies were totally horrible or anything. He lost it basically because the Queen said, I like Disraeli better. I'm going to support the Conservatives. And that act, among other things, ended up creating an election in which the Conservatives won the majority. I don't feel like that would have actually dropped him into a position that he would lose his leadership position. He hasn't failed. He was doing very, very well with his party, and I think if you look at the party leadership among there are prime ministers where the leadership switched back and forth between the opposition and between the Liberals and Conservatives that I'm aware of, and that the loss of the PM's position was not a death sentence. Here it feels like a death sentence. It really does. The only way he's going to make it back is basically spending, a decade or something building his way back up from absolute noob backbencher is what it's going to end up feeling like. Anyway, there are other things, the way the events work, the fact that there's sort of just these point-in-time little crises that show up and that there's no sort of general flow. That's something that I see as an opportunity that was missed by the game more than anything else. But it feels to me like the mechanisms of party leader replacement are just wrong. Maybe we'll see something better in the scenario. I'm especially interested in the two-player scenario where I assume you don't have backbenchers. When I was last up here, right now it's this battery didn't charge. Sunday at 4 in the morning or so. Did some raid, slept, did a lot of raid. But mainly, I'm just watching videos during that. All right. Let's get started with the new government in place. I know I loaded a video up. I don't remember what time of day it was and at what point I was doing it. But whatever. This is the life I have. And we're at the beginning. Now we have a different. So let's see. Everybody is. All the backbenchers are aligned. The government is now blue and green. That's all one shit. So they go up by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And everybody else goes up by 2. We hand out the cubes, which are going to be different because Melbourne's now down to 2. I think everybody else is pretty much where they were. Nobody else lost ground. You only lose ground, basically, from what I can see, by losing the PM position. And then we have to select bills. And this time, I'll start with the opposition being over there. Figure out what the opposition's plan is here. First of all, the opposition leader isn't going to be holding the position. That's obvious. So in a lot of ways, it's the backbencher who is going to be the new leader. And I don't know how much the leader cares about any of that. What do they want to do? Well, certainly the backbencher wants to take the party back. How do you take the party back? Failures by the Prime Minister is probably the best way. This is a close vote, so I think we'll be drawing off Conservatives. But the opposition leader, who I draw first with, is a more troubling question. What does he want done? I think he's still in that same boat. He doesn't want to present anything good to the Prime Minister because no matter how high it drives me, whatever, I can't win unless somehow I manage to become Prime Minister, which means 2 things. One is I have to defeat him. To do any damage to him, I really have to make him Prime Minister. You know? So right now, all I'm doing is trying to prevent a lot of points from being scored, I guess. This is rough, though. I drew an all-parties card. This was a Conservative bill, but it's an all-parties card. And I'm not really familiar with the deck. I think I better go with a cross-party bill just to protect myself, which is another all-parties, but it's one that at least gives us both sides victory points. The backbencher, he would kind of like the PM to fail as well, so he'll pick a Conservative bill. It's again all parties, or it's again an all parties bill. I'm not in a position where I particularly want a cross-party bill to happen. That could create points here. I'm much more interested in a defeat. We get a partisan bill. That is more of a defeat situation. And then for him, he'll draw a Conservative. He gets a partisan bill. It's at plus 30, but the partisans are so low. We'll draw another one, see if we get a better choice. This is a pure partisan bill. That's even more. Ooh, the Master and Servants Act. Wonder what that's up with. Okay, now we reveal. And you can see he's got a bunch of partisan bills. Oh, that one's not so bad. Let's draw a cross-party as an option. That's going to be a moderates bill. There's no bonus on it. It's not terribly good. I'll draw another cross-party because the important thing is holding my position. This is an all. I'll draw another cross-party. Another moderates, but this one's at plus 30 at least. That gets me up to 280. All right. So we are going to take the British North America Act as one of them. That's an all-party at 360 is actually plus 30. And that gives a point to the opposition players. They're in the party together, so they both get that point. And, a partisan at plus 20. That's putting me at 270. My moderate at plus 30 is at 280. I feel like I've got a better chance of this than getting that one to work. So I'll put this up. What did we say? So we definitely want the Commonwealth of Australia Act. That's an all-party at 360. That's at plus 30. But I think the M is the best of the options out there. So that will be a 280, which means I'm at minus 50 on the bill there. The Poor Law of Ireland. Small holdings. Help small farmers, whatever. Master and servant. Criminalize a breach of contract by workers. Wow. And party processions. Restrain assemblies and marches in Ireland. Probably, I can understand why that's a good idea. Enclosure Act. And the Treason Act, protecting Her Majesty. That would be an all at minus 30. That would have been that would have been an easier to pass. Okay. It would have been helpful to pick his and give ourselves a point, but he's less interested in a point and more interested in delaying because there's not a lot of time left, right? Okay. That gets us to the player turns, and we do the government backbencher first. Okay. The jobs are the same. We have a capacity to play around with influence. We could take some votes away from the moderates. We also have the hobnob capacity, and we have campaigning. Campaigning is useful still to protecting the party, but we don't necessarily want to increase the margin. We want the Prime Minister to lose any votes he has. We will be past the no election postponement space. So there's no ability to, like, you're kind of forced into stamp elections or something along that line. Let's look at my supporters. Don't want to use that yet. What happens if I get to 3? Actually, 5 is useful to us. This would make us Deputy Prime Minister. This is a worthwhile card to play. So we're going to be playing that. I think we want to book hobnobbing just to get more stuff. And I mean, so if we switch 10 of these, that's no different than like a debate of 10 in a lot of ways. Yeah, we could throw more stuff into partisan. This one is at minus 50. It's probably going to fail. We would like to see something else fail, but I don't know how we're going to do that. So we will hobnob yet again. That builds up our hand of power. We don't have a whole hell of a lot we can do. This is the one we wanted to play to give ourselves that 5th position. And now we become Deputy Prime Minister. What does that let us do? At the start of your action turn, you may transfer 1 action cube from the PM's mat to your own if the PM has at least 3. That's going to be a powerful situation. I'm going to actually be able to take power. So the PM right now is at 3. I'll have more cubes than him, which is very, very strong in terms of being able to fuck with his life. And that'll be starting next turn. For the opposition, well, we make the backbencher go first. And what's up with the backbencher? Does he just... He has hobnob. He has a double influence. But he doesn't have any influence capability, does he? He can coordinate debate and shoot down the Prime Minister's situation. Remember, he's going to be the opposition leader very, very shortly. Which means a minus 30 to one of these bills. So this one's at plus 30, this one's at plus 30. British North America Act, Union of Canada and Government, Commonwealth of Australia, Public Health of Ireland. We think the Public Health of Ireland is going to fail anyway. I think we want to coordinate debate and do such a bad job of it that we get this down to a 0 and make that a harder sell. And we're opening things up for him. Now, we are nowhere near being able to become deputy party leader, which gives us, a card. Which means opposition gets to go. Opposition has shit, basically. The opposition leader can debate things. Failing bills is useful. Hobnobbing is also useful, though. And I'm not really... I don't think I have that much of a chance of winning, but I think the best chance I have is to build up my supply of yummies. One of which would be dropping the support level that he has. And the other one... we could fuck around with influence in the government. Is that useful? Well, there's a moderate bill, but it is so far in the hole. Does it seem worth it? We would lose some liberal votes. What is our position in the liberals? I know we got tanked there. No, we're not at the bottom. We're at the bottom on farmers and conservatives. So... I'll take this. It looks more useful potentially in the long run, but not enough to really do me much. And that puts us to the event for the first Conservative Prime Minister. Rail disaster in Scotland. What do you want to do? I can offer a prayer or I can support new regulations. I'm less worried about elections right now and more worried about succeeding in the vote. Let's look at our supporters, what they do for me. I have the capacity to boost this up and get another cube. I'm already at the top of the favorite sheet, so I don't really get to do anything with that. What is S? S is Scotland. Yeah, we're going to ignore the problem in Scotland. That loses us a vote. That's not too bad. Okay, and then Hobnob. Oh, I like Hobnob. John Brown is really useful. I found him terribly valuable in the past. Here, I could shift votes improving this. That might be helpful. And that means I have to play something, essentially. What do I want to play? I want to boost... I'll boost my own standing by a point. And we'll hobnob again. And Ireland is worth 2. A Gentry is worth 2. These are about the same. I think this one gives me the most opportunities just because if I need to raise my favor, but I've got cards that do that already. I'll play John Bright for that. That pushes me up to here. I have no debates. I could play with Darwin, but I don't need to right now because this... Oh, this is the one I was thinking about resolving, isn't it? No, this one is pretty piss poor. If I had a capability to increase the support for this, I would go with that, but I think I'll go with this big plus 30 instead. So we'll trim those over. Plus, well, what is this at? So I'm actually at 360. No, I'm at 330. I'm at even. Yeah, I'm at 360 on this one. So we will simply resolve this bill for a success, which means everybody gets 2 points. And I get an extra supporter, which just goes in my hand. I don't have to worry about a discard, and I don't have to play it. And we have passed the Commonwealth of Australia Act, which I'll put up here just to remind me. Okay, I gotta swap batteries before we do challenges because we've got a successful challenge. Anytime I do anything in this game that's a little bit, that's not, you know, absolutely the every turn flow, I have to go find the procedure for that. So, the two players will exchange player mats. So the backbencher and the opposition leader will be switching mats. Take those jobs off. And we'll go to 8 and he goes to 5 now. This is why changing seats might make more sense. And we take our supporters with us. Okay. The winner gets the standing level on his or her new player map, or the standing level of his previous map. So he gets to keep his 8. The loser always gets starting standing level. Oh look, he goes down from that 5, which he just sunk down to, all the way to a 0. He's a nobody now. Okay? He's not going to have any of these positions. We can look to see which ones he's allowed. He's got no campaign ability, so he will have the Privy Councillor available to him, which means he does get a possible position relatively soon, and he keeps his favor. So he is still sort of the same person. It's just, it's really weird. Like, I don't feel like if the rules were that you lost your person and you started over completely, that would make sense to me. But as it is, you're staying that same person. You're just a nobody now. Which might last, but you would probably only be there, you know, for at most like 1 term before you wouldn't work your way back up in any way. Keep your unplayed supporters favored and player markers. If you're taking over the PM's role, take 6 victory points for the replacement. Okay, but we're pooled, which means that 6 points goes to both yellow and red. Let me check that. Let me check that, because that seems really weird that red just got 6 victory points for losing the prime ministership. Let's look at the standard pooling rules. I think, though, oh, where the fuck are they? They're here in the early part of the rules. See, we got packed, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're looking for the pooling. Is it at the very end? there's a whole section on pooling at the end. Okay, a key issue in the whole game, and there is no entry here. I noticed in the last couple GMT games, the indices have been pretty decent, I think. I especially noticed it in Clash of Sovereigns, a game that has many, many problems. They did a good job on the index. Here, they're not doing a good job with the index. And I can't find the pooling rules. I know there's a section on them. Here's the government. Okay, if a government backbencher takes over the PM's role through a challenge and you're still using... That makes it sound like he doesn't get this 6. So we're putting him back here. He was exactly 6 away. But there was a section on fucking pooling. I swear it, man. Now, maybe I'm thinking this section, and then we have the guide to VP pooling. I thought there was something specific to pooling, though. Anyway, other than that, let's look at page 34. Oh, God. But it's just a fucking... All right. But here we go. We've got a short thing here. PM replacement bonus. Available packed government, opposition, resigned government, BB. Okay. Government and opposition round set up. Fuck me. Yeah, I'm still not sure either way. I'm still not fucking sure. Like, that other thing seems to say something different. See, we are currently part of the government. We don't get thrown out of the government. If we had been if we had been a resigned member, if a resigned member had taken over, he would get the points alone. I know that. But I don't think that's the case when the government just changes hands the way it just did. Well, this isn't even the government. When the party just changes hands. This is actions. Government. If the government backbencher takes over the PM's role through a challenge and you're still using only the PM player marker to track the government VP, exchange them. Government includes the PM and any government backbencher who have not resigned. Government players pool all their VP after the initial pact ends and before resignation occurs. PM's player marker represents the VP for government player. I feel like I'm missing something here. .4.1. Let's look for that. That's the exact change that I'm looking at. Oh boy, we're in picture land. Oh, we didn't want that. 1.4.1. Immediately score 6 VP when you take the PM player mat from another. Don't apply this bonus when first assigning the PM's player mat during segment. Yeah. Oh, no, there's no 6. He's not part of the government. Fuck you. So he goes back 6 as well. Neither of them gets anything. He just takes over. He just gets that capability. He does not get... Now, where is that bonus listed? That bonus E under Prime Minister is where A showed up. That's here. But I still wouldn't know what would happen if we had had a situation where this backbencher takes over while they're pooled. I don't know the answer to that. There's one rule which seems to indicate that it's different. I looked at the pooling section, and that looks like it's available, like, which would make sense because, so the PM replacement bonus makes sense because he got it when his party took over the government. But I honestly don't think that, I think there's somewhere where it disallows the Prime Minister who's being replaced from getting the points from his backbencher. I just think that's the way that it works, but I can't find anything on that. Not that it matters much in this game. First of all, it doesn't matter at all because it's not the case we're looking at. So where the hell am I? We're at that challenge phase. Have we finished it? If the opposition leader is taking over the PMs, no. Yeah, if you're taking over the PMs, take 6 replacement points, 1.41, subject to the usual, oh, there's pooling rules, 3.0. Pact VP, ending the pact. See, this is all having to do with the pact. This is not pooling. And there's no pooling here. When the government goes into opposition, the resigned government... Yeah, see, this is weird. Let me look again. The opposition includes the opposition. It wouldn't be under the opposition here. It would not be the opposition here. But this is weird. If an opposition backbencher takes over the opposition leader's role through a challenge, and you are still using only the leader's player marker, exchange this marker for the new player. Oh, aha. Yes. Okay. So that's the situation. They've already both got their counters on the board. This would be the situation. This is only detailing that that if we were both using his color cube, we would now switch to the new leader's color cube. That's all that's doing. So I shouldn't be confused about that. I honestly think, the way I'm reading the rules, the backbencher, if he takes over the Prime Minister's point, without having resigned the government first, they both get 6 points for it. That's how I'm reading the pooling, kind of across the board. Okay, there aren't going to be any elections. Nothing changes with the bills or anything like that. So we do go on, and now I'm out of battery again, to the top of the line. And I am so fatigued by looking all that up and trying to find... So there is a general pooling rule at 3.0. It doesn't cover the pooling of the opposition party, and it doesn't define pooling as a whole. Pooling as a whole has been pulled out into its own little thing that's a lot of words, and in almost all the cases, I think it's actually clear in the rules. This one, it's clear in the rules, I think. It just feels wrong that if the government backbencher were to take over the prime ministry while he's loyal still, while he's still a part of the government machinery, the prime minister somehow gets victory points out of that. That feels funny, feels wrong, but it also probably doesn't matter. It may be sort of a consolation prize that just doesn't hurt you if a backbencher who did not resign is in there. Okay. So I will swap batteries yet again, and we'll keep going because I don't know what else the fuck to do. Allocated the points, and you can see blue moved up to where Father of the House is happening. We'll talk about that in a moment. But first, we get to steal. Oh, this happens at the start of action turn. Yeah, I'm going to put that here just to remind me. He gets to steal one of the Prime Minister's cubes. Otherwise, I won't remember. And we have a Father of the House. If you are the current opposition backbencher, and the PM has 90 or more victory points, use this card to double the values of any supporters you have at the start of your action turn. This is interesting, because in a way, it kind of does explain his position. He's not seen as all that terribly important, but he was a very important figure. He's a former PM, etc. And he's been there, for a long time. That may not be the circumstances that gets you that position, right? But it certainly wouldn't apply if he had been replaced. The Father of the House would be a long-standing member of great importance. You probably wouldn't be looking to the eldest member of your party to take your position, and if you did, they would probably be in a better position here. So in a lot of ways, this does align well with what we're seeing. I just think that, with my knowledge of the parliamentary, which is, again, very limited procedures, more based on modern stuff than of this period, not at all based on this period, it seems really odd to me, the idea that the former PM would basically fall so low and still be keeping his seat in the House for more than a term, and if he had a term, he would probably resign it, and there would be an immediate by-election. Just because it's just such a massive change, you very seldomly see somebody fall from power that hard and keep a position. Okay. That puts us to bill selection. No player action turns, starting with the government backbencher, right? He goes first. Trying to remember the order. Yeah, government backbencher first. It feels like I'm having a lot of trouble remembering anything anymore. Okay. Now, he needs to hurt this guy a lot. And what do I have as capabilities? Well, I don't have that big lead debate card anymore that I used to have that could hurt the hell out of my my ally. I could resign. That would allow me to do more harm, but not a hell of a lot. My debate capability is pretty low. I get this cube. I can play around with these, and we do have a moderate bill, but it's relatively weak. This doesn't help me right now. I have a fair amount of debating. I'm not good at hobgoblins. I could play my debate card, but I would then have to try to win something, and that doesn't get me very much, right? I'm the green guy. I'm up here in high enough favor. What I need to do is just dump his standing. So the only thing I can think of is, of course, hobnobbing. We'll subtract 10 off of this bill. We'll hobnob some more. We'll subtract 10 more off of that bell. We'll hobnob some more. Okay, now things are a little harder. I have this. That's another 10. Let's keep sinking that bell. I don't like throwing away something that gives standing, but I got all the standing I need. And I've got a reserve card. Do I want to do any of this other stuff? I could reduce his support or increase my own, which I might want to do, but it's not of as much value right now. Opposition leader probably wants to force the opposition to do something. So the father of the house card, I'm going to put that between these two because it doubles the effect of these things. Okay. I'm good at hobnobbing. That's what I'm going to do. I got to draw another card. Drawing the Duke of Wellington and looking at these, a Viscount and Earl. I don't know if those are positions that they got after serving as Prime Minister, or if Prime Ministers were being taken from the House of Lords. I know Disraeli was not in the House of Lords. But it seems particularly odd to me. And again, I don't know everything this is representing. I just think of the House of Commons, but the House of Lords was a real thing at this point. Not just concerned with like trying to block a handful of privilege bills that they held. I definitely want to hold the Duke of Wellington because he can give me 2 of those. Not yet, but he can. I could make this bill harder by moving some of them over, but it looks pretty hard as it stands. I could hold this or play it. Playing it right now would drop him by 2, but I'm nowhere near that. So I'm just going to hold my options as father of the house and keep them there. And that puts me to the opposition lead, who really, really wants to get more oh, I get a point of standing. Who really wants to get more standing. Well, look at him. He has a lot of influence, which allows me to fiddle around with these. And I could actually do 10-point swings. Of course, I can do 10-point swings with debate too. But by shifting things, I can make the moderates a less valid option. There's a lot of votes in the moderates, and for long term, that might be worth doing. I am allowed to hobnob at 1. I'm allowed to campaign. I'm allowed to debate things down. I don't feel like I'm in a really strong position. I got to get my standing up. I got to be able to challenge him. I got to be able to do better things. I just don't see how I'm going to come out of opposition because the challenge that I made taking over the opposition was so late in the game. Like I know how quickly these points accumulate. He's going to get to his 100 just by sitting around. You get 4 a turn. I'll hobnob once, see what I get. That's not terribly helpful. I am going to drop this vote a little bit, and I am going to influence 10 moderates to partisans on the conservative side. And that changes this vote by 10 more, making it much, much uglier. That puts it to the government. He's been reduced by a cube. He has to take care of his event. Coal miners go on strike. Now I have to win the election. That's upcoming. I'm going to be getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, I'm going to get 4 more before the election happens, actually, because I already got the 4 for this card. So I'm not going to be in position to guarantee myself anything. I'm not really in terrible danger from him. I'm in danger, but it's not horrible. But I am in a weak position in terms of the votes and everything. Everybody's kind of working against me. I think I'll find a solution. I don't know. Let me see what my supporters look like. Oh, I have an extra card. Forget about that. Okay. This is at 8. This is at 8. This isn't going to go any higher. I'm at 13. I've got a huge bonus over them right now. I'll find a solution to the coal miners' strike, thereby not getting any political hurt. Unless workers don't matter to me. Yeah, they kind of do. The gentry certainly will. Okay. That leaves me only 1 cube. And I'm already a card over. I'm good at hobnobbing. I like to do that. I don't think I can pass either of these bills very easily. I'll shift those 10 partisans back over, and that brings this back up to -50. Not good enough, but it seems like a good use of a card right now. Actually, I could have hobnobbed already to see what I get, but whatever. I can't take away Deputy Prime Minister from him by hitting him with the 2 favor hits. I have a lot of play with favor right now. It's all positive. I could sink that guy, but that doesn't really do me much. I'm okay with him having lots of favor. That doesn't really mean much. If this is up to 300, I still can't vote on it. I just don't think I'm going to get either of these passed by any means. I think I'm going to take this and I'm going to sink his favor by 2. Or, yeah, his favor by 2. I think. That leaves me ready to resolve a bill. I will withdraw this bill. Withdrawing a bill gives me -1 status. The opposition leader gets +1 status. Ruh-roh! I forgot they move in 2 directions, and the opposition gets 2 victory points. They share these, so those both go forward. You're making him win, you asshole. Okay. Okay. And this bill is now withdrawn and goes into the pool of stuff that is unused. My batteries aren't charging. This one's running down. I think it's time for a break. Do another round when I come back. I've got some raid I can do still. You know, it takes, I tell you, it takes like over 8 hours a day, even when it's not like it's not extreme right now. But they just give you so many resources that if you want to use them all, it takes you a full fucking day. Okay, about 6 a.m. now. Let's get the points out. Let's see. Red and yellow each get 2. So if red manages somehow to become PM, it's huge. They have won the game. But yellow and blue currently holding the prime ministership. I feel like the odds are in favor of yellow, because I don't think he can hold his prime ministership, but we'll see. He's currently got the election bonus, so yeah, maybe. But he's got one more of these to go. He's beginning to sink. It's a 2-point swing every time he has to withdraw a bill, and he has to withdraw one here. That's going to put us within a point of each other. However, I have a whole lot of goodwill from the Queen. And that means we jump down to the player actions. The backbencher, not much he can gain. I haven't put the cubes out. Oh, let's put them out. 3 cubes, 2 cubes, 3 cubes, still 1 cube, and then there's going to be 1 coming over. All right, and what does the backbencher want to do? Well, I am father of the house, and I'm sitting on 2 doubles. This is interesting, because I might have enough oomph with the father of the house to be able to regain some power. I can get 2 off this, that brings me to 3. Take 2 away from him, that brings him down to 7. But it's not enough yet. I think my most important thing is to keep hobnobbing and keep, trying to pad my own nest. Put that here. How do we feel about the election? Well, we could swing like 40 into partisans if we wanted to. This doesn't feel like it's the time to do so. There's no advantage to doing so. I could help the election. Again, doesn't really feel like it's time to do so. But I can play the Duke of Wellington for 2 of these. That'll get me another cube next time. That seems worthwhile. And I'm going to call that the end of my turn rather than take from him. Although I'm a little afraid of him being PM. Do I want to take some of his status away? Not yet. These are not. Oh, he's the opposite. Oh, fuck. He's the opposition backbencher. I should not have done him yet. I'm so used to him being the government backbencher, I just do him. Actually, we do this one, and I think I did it that way last turn, too. Because I think this was not over yet. But we'll call that his turn for now. If I need to fix something, I will, but I don't see that as being likely. All right, over here, I want to get his standing down without our party losing power. Useless. This bill is probably lost, so I'm going to hold off on that. I'm not going to worry about, what he's doing, what he's not. I'm good at campaigning, that's about it. Resigning doesn't particularly do me any good. Debate would only help propel that forward. I am green. How did I become Deputy Prime Minister? I got hit with like a -2 somehow in favor. Oh, must have been the stepdaughter or whatever, not stepdaughter, adopted daughter or something. I don't know. I can only think that hobnobbing is my best move here for gaining stuff. Again, this doesn't terribly help me. It's going to be an election turn. We don't really want to help him terribly. We are conservatives. We're looking at liberal. We could lose 2. Or we could gain 2 and lose 2 off middle class. I mean, there's kind of a, hey, what the fuck, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to hit his favor down 1. Is that safe? Yes. Favor is not going to make a difference between the 2 of them. It may make a difference between me and them. I'll hobnob again. Problem is, I don't necessarily want to make this election better. In fact, I think I want to make it a little worse. I'm going to hurt us with liberals. It's so funny that the backbencher is like maneuvering to try to hurt his prime minister all the time. Prince of Wales. I'll play this, give myself another point of that, and then I'll take this. Then I go to him, I do him. Opposition would have forced him to play. I think I did it right last time. I think I just fucked up this time. We really want the election to fail. And this can't be removed. In fact, it's unimportant now. What does that mean? Well, it means that the bill... Oh, he had double hobnob. Did I draw 2 for him? I think so. I don't know if he did it twice. I really don't know where I am anymore. I'm getting lost in this game. Like, the shift of all the players confused me. There's something really weird about that for my solo mind. I don't think it would cause anywhere near the kind of problems in an opposed game. But I feel like the shift of the parties, as well as, I don't know, taking most of a day off. I really don't know. All right, we want to improve our political position. So, conservatives for them is worth 3. Farmers for us is worth 2. We're going to knock them down conservative. Oh, do we want a hobnob? Our flattery, he's going to have to withdraw this bill. That's going to put us within 1. Yeah, we're going to hobnob. We only get 1 for hobnobbing. We get Earl Grey. I'll just play him. Give myself another point. That's going to put things close. If this bill fails, that puts him to 11. That puts us to 11. How am I at flattery? I do not do that. Not my game. I don't think there's anything I can do but hobnob, really. Am I a particularly good campaigner? Not really. Hobnobbing generally gives me a campaign opportunity, at the very least. Okay, we can hit him with liberals for 2 points, or we can hit him for farmers for 2 points. He's kind of low on liberals. We'll hit him for farmers. It's getting to be a close election. We'll hobnob once more. I'm probably going to spend all my cards here. Ireland is worth 2 points for us and a whole bunch of partisans, which we don't really want. Middle class is worth 2 points for us. We'll take that. Scotland and workers. Workers we could double do. No, we can't. Scotland and workers. Scotland is worth 2 points to us. Workers are worth 2 points to us. Let's give us workers. We take the lead in the election. Middle class is worth 3 points to us. Workers going down would only be worth a point. We'll take the 3 points because we think, like, we're in the lead in the election now, and that will be enough. It doesn't matter what the standing is. Okay, that puts it on the Prime Minister, who has been weakened heavily. Can he win this vote? He's not a great campaigner. He's not sitting on a lot of votes. This is at -40, which means we'd have to get at least 30 to even have a chance. We're definitely going to hobnob in that case. Okay. Ireland is worth 2. 2 to him. 2 Ireland is not worth a hell of a lot, and we'd lose Conservatives, which I'm sure is bad. So we'll take Oscar Wilde on our side. What do we want to do? We'll draw another 2. We're allowed to collect up more. Just at the end of the turn, we're not. We got a 10-point vote. It is more valuable to have them all in your hand. I can hurt the Liberals with Liberals. That's probably pretty good. The 10-point vote, I just don't think is going to make a damn bit of difference. Okay, let's hurt him with Liberals. Liberals go down by 1, and that takes 2 off their vote. We're trying to accumulate a vote here. How good are Gentry for them? Gentry are worth 2 points for them. I'll play that for the vote. We're going to put this back because we're possibly able to campaign our way up. How are Gentry for us? Gentry for us are worth 2 points. Ireland for us is worth 2 points. Let's play this in Ireland. Get the lead. Winning the election prevents us from taking a hit. If we gain more seats, we don't take a hit. Right now, we're sitting at 360, which is a very high number to get to. We're probably not going to win the election. So we got to be careful about what happens here. I'm going to play John Brown to give him 2 points of royal favor, but drop him down. Gentry. The other option is middle class. Okay. Let's use the Princess of Wales to drop their middle class by 3. It's really, we're not going to be able to do better in the election, but we're trying to improve our chances of winning it. I'm actually going to play this as well then. Gentry gives us 2 more. Even though I could improve royal favor with these things, I'm just trying to make sure that my electorate doesn't avoid me. Now I get to resolve a bill. Well, we're going to withdraw the bill, which we take a quick look at what that does, because we have to look it up every time and it's not on the charts. Resolved by withdrawal, we lose a point. Still not down to his. However, he gains a point. Okay, now we're in challenge territory, but he has so little royal favor compared to us that that's not going to happen. And the opposition gets 2 points. That goes up here. He's at the top. He's not going anywhere. We're cutting it awfully fucking fine, aren't we? That's cool, though. I mean, tight games are nice. Like, you wouldn't want a game where it's just obvious and you just resign. And he's got to make it through another series in the position of PM to hold out. This is withdrawn. Okay. Here challenges. No. No. And like I said, almost but not quite. And now we have to have the election. And I need to swap batteries for that. Then I'm kind of, I don't like to do this, but I'm kind of showing you every play, every struggle. I know that's maybe some of the charm of sometimes in the game, but that's a Euro-ish component to a game when the decisions are so fast that the narrative is being left behind by the extreme number of decisions. I'm having fun with this one. Some games I really hate that aspect of it. You might say there's kind of a worker placement in terms of, hey, which action do you want to do with each of your cubes? I don't really see it that way because they're not being placed out in advance or whatever. They're just sort of action expenditures, you know? But yeah, you could read it that way. Anyway, for the election, let's see what happens. We get a 10. 10 is deep in the deck. No damage to these cards, because they never get shuffled. Like, I shuffled them right at the beginning. But okay. The election, I'm trying to remember, is +4, which means we are at 344 seats. That puts us down to 340. We have lost the election, but maintained the government. So we've lost seats in the election, which means what? I shouldn't have moved this. I shouldn't have moved that. Come on, there's something that happens. I know that you lose points if you lose the election. See, this is the problem. I have these remembrances of what the rules are. I've counted seats. Okay. This is not a minority government. There was no royal influence. We never have seen a royal influence. Okay, here we go. If the government or opposition gains seats, it scores 2 victory points +1 for every seat it gained. That's what it is. Okay, so the opposition is going from 360 for every 10 seats rounded off to the nearest 10. From 360 down to 340, that means that's going to be 4 points for the opposition. The opposition is all up there. But the Prime Ministry gets to hold its position, and that 4 points a turn means we're going to win if nobody does anything drastic very shortly. This drops down to 340. We count the partisans, 80. We only have 80 partisans now, which means 260. So we've gotten our moderates back that were being influenced away. And that will put us at the beginning of the parliamentary order. I'm going to go watch some more videos. I expect that this is going to end in the course of before the next election, because here's what happens. The party of the Prime Minister is going to move forward 4 spaces, and then 4 more spaces. So before the next election, they will be up in here. You don't lose victory points. The opposition is already up there. The only way that I can see anything weird happening is if he resigns his government position, doesn't advance with the Prime Minister, and ends up becoming the Prime Minister somehow, which he may have to do. It may be a possible outcome, but yeah. And with the low vote total, the close parliament, I would say probably whoever becomes Prime Minister is liable to have more votes than this, but it's no guarantee. It's no guarantee. All right. I'm a little fatigued by the system. Maybe it's just coming back. It's not even like, I missed because of dancing or something like that. I actually have been playing through about as much as I can play. And, within my mindset and my addiction and whatnot. But I am getting a little fatigued with it. However, I really want to do at least one of the historical scenarios to see if it gives a slightly different flavor. That might change my opinion significantly. But I'm probably going to do something else in between this and that, which may actually cause more struggle because then I come back and I don't remember. I'm finding myself. So these are very, very procedural situations, and they're written in these paragraphs. Some of the procedural games, we take a look at Axis Empires or whatever. I complain about that, but at least it has nice bullet points. Once you figure out how, if you pull up Totaler Krieg or you pull up Krieg and have a copy of that so you can decipher the original rules, they're readable. These rules are relatively readable, but they're not a great reference material. Those are a great reference material, but getting the idea of how the game actually works is really, really hard from that. Oops, and cubes are out. Move this one already. Otherwise, again, I'll forget it. But since we just had an election, it's time to pull more bills. Again, I think I go opposition, backbench. Again, it's simultaneous more or less, but I feel like what you draw should not be. And it cannot be, right? I mean, I guess you could write down what you want or something along those lines, but there's no handling of that being addressed in the rule book. So, who is trying to do what? Well, the government backbencher still needs to drop his status. And at the same time, so does the opposition leader. Fair enough. Opposition leader has an advantage over this. And we don't really have a way of dropping his status and beating the opposition leader out. I feel like we're in kind of a pathological situation where we can choose between aiding the Prime Minister or the opposition leader, either aiding our own party, or I don't think we have a chance of getting ahead on our own. the other hand, the opposition backbencher is really out of it. He just has no chance whatsoever. All he can hope to do is hobnob and get things that hurt the opposition leader, especially in light of the father of the house special capability, which is his catch-up capability, but I think he came to the job too late for it to do me any good. All right, given all that, given the amount of M's, all right. So I say opposition goes first. He will pick a conservative bill to make it less likely. It's an all bill. That's no good, but we need to defeat. We can't count on getting lucky on a cross-party bill. We have to go with another conservative. We get the Inebriates Act. Wow. Reformatories for habitual drunkards. How awesome. That's what we're, of course, going to put forward. He also feels like he has to take control of the party. I don't know how to cope with him, but maybe we get lucky. So we also will go with these. Vagrancy Act. Such cool things. Draw another conservative, see if we can get something even worse. This is P plus 20. This is just P. I'd rather generate the straight P. And then the opposition backbencher. I just have no idea. Has to defeat him, though. An all, not good. Another all. Well, we'll be going with the all minus 20. But that's going to give him an opportunity, I think, for a bill that he wants to put forward. So we've got a P plus 10. That's not very good. An all minus 30, actually. At least it's not, an auto vote. And the Official Secrets Act is just a straight P. All we want to do is hold on to our position. So we're drawing for cross-party skills. We get an A plus 10. That's pretty good. We get an M plus 20. This is interesting. That gets me to 280. This gets me to 310. These P's aren't going to do it, so we might be giving him, a victory point? I think so. Doesn't really make a difference. We draw this. Oh, another M. This one an M plus 30. Okay. We're going to take our A plus 10. No question of that. And that puts us at 350, so that's at plus 20 to begin with. An all minus 30, I think, is the next best. Minus 30 brings us to 310. So we are at minus 20. Not a great pick. And now these P's are just not going to do it no matter what. So we'll go with the M plus 30. Which gives 290, which means we're at minus 40, which is not good. This goes away. He gets bonused by a pick. That's a 1 VP. It's the opposition. They're together. Well, they don't gain anything from it. In Contagious Disease Act. Slander of Women Act. I love these. Official Secrets and Vagrancy. Okay. So that victory point doesn't actually help. We hit player action turns, and trying to remember, it's the opposition backbencher who goes first. He is sitting on 3 cards. He has no chance other than by hobnobbing. So hobnobbing it is. Now, see, my problem is I probably want to play this. Oh, what was the new one? The new one was here. I probably want to play this, but I don't know who to play it on. I need him to go down. I need him to go down. I figure everybody's going to shoot for the prime minister, so they'll probably shoot for. I'll probably shoot for my own opposition leader, but that means we're not going to take the win. But we have another turn. This is not going to go up to 100 until next turn. And it doesn't automatically end in a victory. We've got to finish the turn, I think. Right? Right? I hope so. No, it's immediate. Gah. So the prime minister has to be defeated. Yeah. Whoever is prime minister at the end of this turn wins. Is basically what it comes down to. Because as soon as this triggers, that creates the victory. I just don't see a way. I will draw another card just to see. Next turn does not matter. So I play one of these to up my own point. Wish it could be 2, but I don't have the time to hold. This turn is my last turn. I will hit my own party leader for 2. Absolutely useless card, I think, unless something really weird happens, but I'm going to play it anyway. We got conservatives that we could up and get 4 points off of. That's probably the best. Remember, these are doubled as father of the house. Or I can screw the gentry and drop them by 4. These are, ooh, there's an M. All right. Let's hit the M and trade 40 of these for these. And that means 40 off of M. M goes down to -80. Again, I don't think elections are going to make a damn bit of difference. Conservatives are worth 2 for us. Taking gentry away is worth 2 for him. Oh, this is doubled though. Let's get some support from conservatives. And finally, George Bennick. I can't resign. I could debate, but I already chose to do this shit. We'll drop -10 on this bill, because that's the most likely to pass, and we need to hurt it. All right, we shot our wad. Again, this is essentially the last turn of the game. And fuck, I was supposed to do the government backbencher first. Again, I'm getting confused. Screw it, I leave it as is. I don't want to cope with that. I don't want to cope with trying to repair things. All right, I get this extra cube. What are my chances of improving my position? And I'll leave his positions in place. I just don't care enough. Campaigning is absolutely worthless. Influence action, yeah, I could affect the moderate bill. I probably wouldn't have done it anyway, and I certainly wouldn't want to now. But this was at like -40 before. It was the least likely to pass. Which means What do we want to do? Well, we have a minus 20, and we'll hit the most likely bill, and we'll drop farmers by 1. Again, we're trying to break the prime minister, so we take over the party. Duke of Argyll, minus 10. We'll put that off here. Westminster. I will increase my own standing. Yeah, my standing is going to go up anyway. Speaking of which, his went up. Farmers and workers. 2, 2. We'll improve the workers. Oh, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. We don't want to help our own party. Much as we'd love to win elections and whatnot, we actually don't give a shit about that. So we're definitely not playing this. Because actually, we do want to win that. I don't know. There could be a by-election. By-election is sort of a randomness. Do I care about what the votes are at? I honestly don't think so. I'm going to help my own. All right, we'll help the farmers. 1, 2. None of this matters. These campaigning don't matter. I'm going to hold this just because, well, for now. And we are going to hobnob because hobnobbing is, we could debate, but we need something we can trigger. And I'm going to have to shuffle the deck for a last hop. Final cube goes over, and we grab this. Okay, what do we care about? This we chose to hold on to. I don't care about these. I've got a minus 20 votes from Mill. We're at minus 20 on both of these. I really don't know. I'll just put this down 20. And that's really all we're going to throw in. I just don't see doing any of the other actions there. We did not do the opposition leader. At this point, the backbencher would have gone here. Whatever. And we're at the opposition leader, who definitely wants to shoot bills down, definitely could just debate at 3 bills sending them down. That would force him into withdrawals. Here's the problem. If he gains the prime ministership, he gets an 11. I've got to do something about him. Like, although I don't think this is going to go down far enough. Okay, I think we're going to debate. So 10, 20. Now we're both at minus 40. We will hobnob. And we only get 1 card for hobnobbing. We get the Earl of Malmsey. Okay. We will shift 20 of these over to partisans. That puts this down 20 more. It's not going to pass anyway. But we lose a liberal off the liberals. Oh, look, they can't go down any further. That's ours. That puts us to the event. Derby Day. I'll skip it. which means that Gentry does not like us as much. That's 2 more. What the hell can I do? I can draw 2 cards for Hobnobs. They might save my position. I don't think I can save any of those. And I get 2 draws for each card. Throw this one away. Throw this one away. All right, let's see. We have 10 votes we could throw in. It's not going to do me any damn good. I'll just put it up there. Princess of Wales. I'll increase my standing. Actually, I could decrease royal favor for someone. Who am I worried about? I am worried most about green. I'll decrease his standing. And that is the end of that. Now I have to resolve a bill. I'll withdraw this one because it hurts the most. That loses me 1. Gains him 1. It's a possible challenge there, except way too little royal favor. Not going to be given an option. Really, only the perfect event would have happened here. It does give 2 victory points for the opposition, but they're already as high as they can possibly go. There's no challenge there, no challenge there. We come to the end of the turn. There's no election. And on the next turn, this bumps up and Disraeli ends up winning. And again, I think with how late things broke, the points just gathered too much for Melbourne. He had visions of like just running the entire game without ever being defeated. And could that happen? I don't think so. I think if 3 players gang up on you, you're going to lose your position to someone. Question, of course, is to whom? You know? And he lost his position both ways, but it's easier for the opposition to beat you. And then once they beat you, you get sunk down to this, which means that your backbencher beats you. And so I would say, who made foolish moves? You might argue that the former government, that Earl Russell made a mistake and should have challenged and defeated the party leader earlier. That would give him a chance to come back, right? He probably should have played against him a little harder earlier. This is just something that, you know, this first play is teaching me, is that you don't want to, no matter how many points you're getting, the problem was he couldn't get much power. His standing was low, and he was basically gaining it the 1 point per turn. And in fact, I don't know, I think this was up to 8 actually. But it's not high enough to break that, to take the position from Disraeli. In terms of the opposition, the former opposition under Peel, or Peel's position is that, he was gaining more and more power, but he never really got to a position where he could do more than he did. With all these offices, he's able to interfere quite a bit. He made it so that Disraeli couldn't get any votes. It doesn't matter. All he has to do is hold on to that prime ministership with his fingers. And, you know, so the only person who did things absolutely right is obviously the winner, because the winner was able to say, okay, that long delay is perfect because you can't hold the prime ministership forever. Eventually it's going to fall. And I mean, it's not like both of these guys were trying to knock the prime minister down because there was some worry that he would just that Melbourne would just keep running with it, that there was no way to beat him, mainly because his backbencher was too weak and too compliant, maybe. Although it feels to me like after a fairly early, see, this is the thing. When do you make your decision to pull the trigger, right? Because this guy's gaining victory points along with well, actually, this guy was gaining victory points along with him. And, maybe he needed a little bit more time with this prime minister, but it almost feels like you have a certain amount of time as prime minister, and you might be able to tinker that and make it a little longer, but it's hard to knock the prime minister out of his position. The best chance of anybody to do it was him, because the prime minister started with, 11 or whatever, and he started at 8. So he was within striking distance right away. Of course, the new opposition player, he had to build up a lot of status to work his way up there to make a real challenge. But he might have had a shot as well. It's just, I don't know. I feel like there's a certain strategy as to at what point in the scoring track you want to hit somebody, and I have kind of this fear that may be kind of fixed, that may have very little, that there may be very little strategy to this. Once you play it a few times, you may just understand at what point you want to hit the score at a certain point. It's because it really does feel like it's that kind of balancing act. It's when do you want to make your play for the power? And it's an interesting question on the first play. I think it may become less and less interesting. Like there becomes a point where that becomes an uninteresting question. And then sure, it becomes a slightly closer game. It was a close game for 3 of the players. Everyone except the guy who was running as PM forever was in a fairly close race. So I think a little bit of modification to what they chose to do. And that little bit of modification might have taken him down early enough. You can see he's almost at the point where he can start making challenges. Is he getting any position? Well, he has a huge amount of favor. So actually, he had positions. He should have been getting party leadership. He should have gotten this turn, maybe. And he had the flatter ability. He should have gotten this right away. Almost right away. I fucked up, man. I fucked up. I stopped paying attention to these jobs. Again, everything changed once the election changed for me. I lost all will with him because he was dropped down to 0. But you can see, actually, with these capabilities, he was able to gain things. So he would have had a huge coordinate debate. I don't know how much that helps, right? He can shoot down the prime minister's bills. Okay, fantastic. But he would have had an extra supporter or 2. I don't know what that would do. And he could have boosted his own flatter. This looks pretty painful to be able to. And playing with the royal favor wasn't the real issue. The real issue is the standing. You have to be able to knock the standing down. So I mean, what would a couple more supporters do? I don't know. I doubt it would have made a difference. He was really far behind, but you can see if he had been knocked out a little earlier, he might have been in a position where it would have been closer. Okay, oopsie, battery's dying, and let's send this up.